Okay, so let's just record this just in case things happen. Let's see. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Uh, Mana dia? Yeah. Huh. Let's see. There you go, Python class. We just do some.
Aziman, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi.
Waalaikumsalam. Alhamdulillah.
How are you? How is everyone?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, thank you.
Alhamdulillah, that's great. So, inshallah, today is the completion of the GUI, right?
Yes, it is
Okay,
as well
so
as to be the last class, I think, for this course.
you said what?
The last, probably the last class, since this is
Okay.
we're going to touch on.
Uh,
Uh, we're going to go in depth about the GUI, and after that there will be no more classes. Am I right?
yes, yes, yes. Okay, later I need to discuss with you because I need to see all the tasks,
Oh,
all
sure,
the
sure.
tasks they have done, so we can collate the whole thing.
Let as Other than the task, I'll also share uh the attendance for to you so that you can see who is attending the classes. Okay.
Can you repeat? I can hear you. My
Uh,
this thing is very.
ah, Other than the task, I'll also share the link to the attendance sheet so that you can see
Okay.
who attended the class before this.
All right. No issues.
Okay. I think let us wait for a bit because not many people are here. Maybe about 3 minutes. We'll wait. Let's see. I see, I see. Some of them might not be able to join the G Meet, but it's okay. I already share the link to the YouTube for them to see because some of yeah, for them to look into after the stream.
Do they even know this link? Can you repost this link
I
to the
already
WhatsApp group?
I
It's the
already
same
shared
link, but
the.
maybe
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Because I just recently sent the stream
Oh,
link.
okay.
I just recently sent it. Let me uh, give me a moment. So I think we can start now. So we begin our class with Kitab Al-Fatiha. Okay, just an before we start the class, just an overview about your task 5. Alhamdulillah, almost everyone got it correct. Okay, as I wanted. However, there's one group where they had an attempt to code and to solve the problem given, the task given. However, unfortunately, the code cannot run. So I have to give for each subtask in task 5 1 point only. Okay. So for the group uh, that got that mark, please PM me for the follow up later on. Okay. The others, it, you guys did pretty well. Okay. So before Raya, I think is it before Raya? I can't remember. Yeah, before Raya. Okay, so before Raya, we have learned a bit about recursion, which is one of the useful tools to for us to not manipulate, to traverse through the binary tree. It is also can be used to traverse all other graphs, but in our syllabus, it can be used for binary tree. Okay, so now we also have learned about the GUI, where we use some of the libraries, which is tkinter, okay, and use its functionalities inside the library to create our own software. Okay, we have learned about how to arrange the components, how to arrange the groups, how to group them together, how do you want to initiate them, how do you want to hide them, how do you want to make them run. Okay, so now this is basically the finale, the last class, where we are going in depth about the GUI itself in the library of tkinter. Okay, so I have my own program here, which I already did before. Okay, so to begin with, we have this node linked list. I use again the linked list from the chapter 1, okay, that we have learned before. I just copy and paste. I just put a constructor, update data, set link, get data, get next. Everything is you have already done before this. However, there's a little bit some extras here where we have the maximum size. Okay, this is why I did this, because I want to use it in the software later on, in the GUI later on. Okay, we also have clear list, length, the push, the pop, enqueue, dequeue, print list. Print list is not so important because this is more on the console log side. Okay, for the GUI, it is not important. It is not that important. And then we have the remove by index. Okay, as you have seen in our demonstration before, if you join my class, okay, where we can just select the delete button and it removes the element from the list. You also can pop them, you also can dequeue them, and the list is empty again. Okay, so you can, I'm not sure if you can see it clearly, but you can see that there's an instruction: add data into the list by either push or enqueue, remove the data from the list by either pop or dequeue, clear the list using clear max 15 data only in this list. So this 15 is variable. we can change this 15 to any type, any number. Okay, like I've shown here, you have 15, you can make it 20. There's no problem. When I run this, it will change 20. So how are we going to get the data? How are we going to push get the data input from the user in the software, and how we are going to show them afterwards? Okay, so now we have done the ones that we have learned before. So let us go in there for the GUI function. Okay, so we have a bunch of stuff here, which is so many. So this is so here we have, I separated this code into 3 parts. Okay, we have the linked list part, the core of the program. We have the giving the GUI functions. Basically, this is the function where this is basically, we can call it as the API. Okay, application, I can't remember the full name, but basically the API between the GUI and the back end. The linked list is the back end, the GUI is the front end, and the middle one, the functions that we have here, is the API, which connects both of these ends. So you will pretty much hear this a lot during web development, and as well as any development that involves server, okay, application that connects to a server. But for now, we just assume that the back end here is the data, the functionality of the linked list itself, not the server. Okay, so we'll skip this. We'll skip first the GUI functions. We'll go straight away to the creating the GUI. So we have done the back end. We skip the API. We focus on the front end first. So what did I do here is that I created a software. I tell the program, okay, I want you to make a graphic user interface, which is called main. So main.tk, main equals to tk.tk in bracket. So this is basically means I want you to create a software name, create a UI named main. I want you to make the title to be stack and queue simulation. Okay, this is the second line. And I want you to make the width, the resizable, the width and the height to be fixed. Okay, meaning that the user cannot change the height and the width of the main window. And then we have the instruction frame. Frame is basically grouping the components together. Okay, so instruction frame equals to tk.frame.master tk.frame, and we tell them, okay, the master is main, the padding is 10, on the x-axis, and the horizontal padding is 5. Okay, we also have the instruction frame dot pack. Basically, what do we want to say here is that, okay, we want you to create a group of frame of components, and we want you to pack the frame, meaning that we want you to show the frame. Okay, so where does this instruction frame comes from? This one, the add data into the list by either push or enqueue, remove the data. So this is where it comes in. So instruction, so inside the frame, the instruction frame, we have the instructions itself. So instruction equals to tk.label. So we put the label name instruction. We set the master of the instruction label to be instruction frame, and we put the text here, which is the add data into the list by either push or enqueue, and remove the data, as well as we include the variable list.maxSize data only in this list. Okay, so this is where they show you the size of data that we have tell the program before. Okay, and we set the width to be 50. Because why do we set the width to be 50? So that the width of the software, the program, will follow the components. Okay, and after that we pack it. So basically the instruction frame is basically the first part here on top here. Now beside the okay, we have the action text here. Okay, this action text means that we are going to put the, we want to tell the user that what is currently happening, right? So what do I do here? I create a label action. So what did I do? I create the master to be the instruction frame and make it empty. Okay. However, we will change this action, this label in the program itself. Okay. So input text, let's say I want to put pop. When I let's say I want to put CIE and I push it into the list, then suddenly it shows that CIE has been pushed into the list. Okay. So how do they do that? So now we go into what that makes this thing change. So let us go back to the giving the GUI functions, the APIs. So what happened here? What happened here is that you can notice that there's a function which is define, update action, and we have the text. Okay, so this is the function that we have here. So what do we do? Action.config text equals to text. So meaning that we want to configure this action label so that it now contains the text, which is the text that we given, which is CIE has been pushed into the list. So where does this CIE has been pushed into the list? The push data here. Okay. So this given the this function comes from a button called push. We already learned about how to make the button push alive. Okay, in the previous class. So I won't go in depth, but basically when we push the data, we take the data from the input data. Okay. And if the data and the list length is not equals to the maximum size, then we push the data into the list. So this is the back end. So the list.push, this is the back end. And what do? We call the function update and action, where we say that, okay, I want you to show this string, which is the data has been pushed into the list. And after that, we have this one, clear input. Okay. This clear input means since we have learned about the update action where we can configure the action label, the labels, now we want to configure the input. Okay, like if you notice, if I want to put, let's say IIUM here, and I want to put NQ, the IIUM input inside the input label has been inside the input text has been cleared, because I told the function in the push data, I called the function clear input, and this clear input, I tell the input text to clear all its input from the first position, which is position 0, until the end position, which is denoted by single quote end. Okay, to make it clearer. And then we have the print list and the show list. Okay, so the print list is the console log thing, and the show list is the GUI thing. We have two. One is shown at the back end, and one is shown at the front end. Okay, so that's how you change the action label as well as the input text. About the show list, I will tell you in depth later. Okay, but for now, we just continue for the GUI thing. Okay, NQ data is also the same. Clear input, print list, NQ, and then pop data. For pop data, so we just say that, okay, we want to pop the data. If we have the data, so we say that, okay, the data has been popped from the list. Else, if there's no data to be popped, then we just want to say, okay, no data has been popped is being popped from the list, meaning that the list is empty. Like that. TQ is also the same. Clear list is also the same. It's just the difference that is the clear list, we clear the list immediately. And then we have the delete data. The delete data, we are going to talk about it later on in the class, okay? Because this delete data is what bugged me for a long time during my when I first when I first coded this program, okay? We also have the show list. Okay, now the show list is here. Let us just hold these two, the delete data and the show list, because these two are the hardest one to understand. So please pay attention, okay? So now we have the input frame, input label. I've said about this before. Input frame text is input text. And we have the input box element. So input equals to tk.entry, master input frame, comma with 50. Input pack side right. And for the label, input pack side left. So basically we want to make it on the left and the right. Okay. And then we have the create button frame. So the button frame here is the push button. The button frame, which is the push, enqueue, pop, dequeue, and clear. So I've taught you before in the previous class, where each of these button, push button, enqueue button, pop button, dequeue button, and clear button, were assigned to each of the command, which is the each of the command, which is the push data, enqueue data, pop data, dequeue data, and clear list. Okay. Any questions so far? Alhamdulillah. Okay, so I think I'm going too fast. Can anyone catch up, or should we continue, or which part should I repeat? Let me just bring it down. If none, then we can proceed. No question? Okay. So back to here. So this is where we connect the buttons with their GUI functions. Okay. So remember that this push data that we just said before, the define push data here. So yes, this push data. So we set the command into the push button. So push button equals to tk.button master button frame, comma, text push, comma, with 10, comma, command push data. We also do the same for clear button, dequeue button, pop button, and enqueue button. So this is how you initialize the button and how you want to send the parameters. What are the parameters for the button itself? And then when we want to arrange them, or we want to show them, so for push button, enqueue button, and clear button, we put them in a grid. Okay, so push button grid 0, column 0, until clear button grid row 0, column 4. And then after we grid them together, meaning that they already being shown in the grid. So now we want to show the button frame. So this is where we show the button frame. Okay, the grid itself has already been shown, but if the master is not being shown, it's not visible, we still cannot see the button. So we need to show as well the button frame. Okay. Now, comes the hard part. Okay. If you guys are going to learn about the list, this is the hard part. If you guys are going to create a GUI for graph, it is harder. I must say it is harder than the list. By what degree? I have no idea. I haven't code for that yet. I just showed you the linked list only. Okay. So what do we do here? Apparently in the GUI we also have to initialize the delete button, the array. But this array, you need to take note, this array is not for you to store the, what do you call it, for not for you to store the variables. This array are to store the components. The components, because why? We need, when we put them in an array, we want to access them. Okay? So we have num equals an empty array. So what does this num means? This is the num1 and 2. For data, this is the data, and the delete is the delete button. Okay? So this is where the show list will kicks in. List frame equals to tk.frame, master equals to min pet x. This is the same thing. Now comes this part. For I in range less dot maximum size, num I, okay, this is okay. So initially, for this one, since we have 10 of the label, for this one, why do we need the maximum size? Because of this part. Okay? Why? When you want to initialize a component, it is better for you to just let the component be there, even though it is not being used. But you need to consider the problem with the array, not the array. I mean, you can try. I think I tried doing this before. I tried pushing the data, pushing the components inside the array itself, and it doesn't works. So what happened? I have to fix the size of the component, the size of the array, the size of the linked list, so that I can just initialize the array entirely. Because why? What happened is that when you want to create and you want to destroy and you want to create again, it becomes a problem. You create a list, you create a frame, you create a label, a component basically. You destroy a component and you recreate the component. It's not as efficient as you think of it. I mean, you can make your linked list dynamic, meaning that the linked list can go on forever, but in GUI terms, or maybe due to the limitations of the library tkinter, or maybe because of me not knowing how to go around this library, I would suggest you to just initialize all components according to the size of the linked list. If yours involve graph, or what do you call it? If yours involve graph or tree, then it would be harder, 10 times harder, because you don't know which node to be used. Okay. Back to here. So num I and data I, we create the labels. This is the easy part. Okay. So num I. So basically, this is the list here, up here. Okay. So tk label master, which is the list frame, and the list frame, the master is main. So what is the text? So since this is just a number, so we just put string in bracket I plus 1. So we just put, okay, this is 1, this is data 1, data 2, data 3, until data n. And width is 11. Height is 2, and the relief is groove. This is one of the ni lah. You also have data I, where we put the data inside. But for now, since we just initialize, we make it empty. Okay, we make it empty. When do we update? I will tell you in the show list later on. Okay. And then we have the assign the distinct parametric function, the part where the part where I broke down. Okay, so the delete button, although it seems easy, it's actually hard. You will notice that we have the delete arc partial delete data comma I delete data, which is the delete data I. So why not we just hold on this first? I'll tell you about the show list, and then after that we will come back to this function. Okay, of this headache. Okay, because previously I tried to avoid this, but some people might want to ask me more about this. So in this class I'll just tell you as well for this one. Okay, so let us go to the part where I want to update this numi and data I. Okay, so we already initialized the numi and the delete I. Okay, so let us go up here. So we go to the show list. The delete data we will hold it first. Okay. So in the show list, what happened here is that since this is the API, this is basically the middleman between the linked list itself and the user interface. So from here, what do? We create the current.list head. So we take the header, okay, as typical in linked list. We make the count equals to 0. And isList false. We create the function isList false. Okay. So what does it mean by isList false? Means that is the list exist yet? Has the exist yet or not? If no, then we say pack forget. Okay, this is the part where we want to make it invisible again. Okay, if the list is visible, the list is exists, so we want to show the list frame. If the list is not visible or does not exist, so we make the frame empty. We do not show the frame to the user. Okay, so let me ask you, what will happen if we were to not pack this thing? So let us run this. So we have yes, no. So let us do this, and when we want to clear this, so let us clear. You will notice that the frame, the list frame, stays there. So in terms of the user experience, it might be, why does this frame does not clear as well? Why do they have to do it like this? So what do? We need to create the list frame dot pack dot forget, so that the frame will be not visible if there is no list to be shown. Okay. Now, meanwhile, speaking of, we have talked about the frame itself. We talk about the frame of the data. Now we want to talk about the data itself. Okay. So what do you do? While current, since if the data, while current means that if the data exists, meaning that the header exists, so meaning that we have the data, meaning the list does exist, so list is true. So from here, what do? Data count dot config text equals to current dot get data. Okay. So notice that this is the count. Remember the I that we initialized the array just now. So this is the part where it goes in. So data count config text dot equals current dot get data. Okay. So we'll collect the data and we show the data. So num count dot grade. So row count column 0, and the data as well, row equals to count, column equals to 1, and column span is 3, and the delete button will be on the column 5. This is, so if you notice the column span, we already have, I'm not sure if you have learned about this column span and row span in the previous class, but let me just refresh you. The column span and row span is basically how spread you want to make your data is. Okay. So if you want to make your column span to be 3 or 4, mean that you want it to cover 4 cells, 4 columns. Okay. If you just want to make it to just cover 2 column, then 2 column it is. Okay. And then we have the delete count dot grade row equals to count and column equals to 5. And from there, count plus 1 and current equals to current dot get next. So basically this is basic linked list stuff. After we have done getting the data from the count, okay, so we now have the data. So we have two while loops. If you notice, the one is handling the positions that that holds the data, and the other one is the one that handles the empty positions. Just in case, if we want to delete the data, we want it to be forgotten. Okay. So from here, while count is less than the list.maximum size, so data count config text equals to empty, meaning that we configure that we want to tell this element, this component, I want you to get no strings at all, and I want you to be forgotten, because you serve no purpose for now. So we do that and we count them plus 1, plus 1, plus 1 until the end, until we reach the maximum limit of the linked list. So we have learned about the pack forget. We also have the grid forget as well. Okay. So this is where the grid dot underscore forget comes in. Okay. So do you understand about this show list? We need to take 5 because this is very tough to be understood. So let us take 5 before we continue to the last part of the code programming, which is the delete data as well as the GUI itself. Okay, let us take 5. So we'll continue on 9:45. Okay. Oh, meanwhile, the code for today, for the class today, is this. So please check in your attendance while I want to take 5. Okay, so everyone already understand about the array of components. Understand? Understood? Okay. Let me just assume that you guys have understand. Okay. So now we go into the parametric functional commands. We have learned about the functional commands, but we only learned that the functional commands has no parameters. What if, brother, what if we want to send a parameter to a command, to a function, using a button? Okay, so this is what happened during my coding process. Okay, I was stuck with this for several days before before my last class in the previous semester. Okay, so thank God there are two ways to solve this. The first one the first one is more powerful than the other one. The other one is basically you just put the lambda at the back. So for example, another way to pass the parameter to a command is the following code. I'll talk about the partial. I'll talk about the partial after this. But for now, so for this one, this is an example. Okay, so let's say I'll just copy this. I put this here, and I put the lambda in front. So lambda colon delete data, the data that we want to call, and the parameter that we want to send, this one. Okay, this is another way to do it. However, it is not as efficient, it is not as good as the partial one. I'll talk about it, talk about the partial later. However, this only applies for non-array components. Okay, meaning that if the delete button is just one button, not an array of buttons, the delete button is just one, or maybe a separate one, meaning that we have a delete button here and a delete button there, which is not in an array. Okay, we can use this lambda colon delete data I. However, if we were to put it in an array, you have to use on the following button here, the following syntax. Okay, delete I equals to tk button, master list frame, everything is basically the same, but you need to put delete data underscore argument. This is basically a name. Okay, the actual one is this. We need to create a variable that assign a parameter or maybe several parameters to a function delete data. So delete data underscore argument equals to partial delete data, which is the function itself, comma I, which is the parameter. Okay? So this is how you want to assign a parameter, which is distinct, different data to a function for several buttons. Different data, different button, same function. Okay? Different data, different button, same function. This is how you want to assign. And then you can call that variable. You can just immediately just put partial delete data comma I in here. But this is better because you want to say I want to assign this parameter to the delete data. However, take note that if you notice, this partial function is a library. It is not a user-defined function. It exists in a library. So you need to call this partial function from the function tools. From func tools, import partial. Okay, from func tools, import partial. You can also put partial as assign, also can, but for now you just put partial as it is. Okay, so from there you can call the delete function, the delete data I. We can put the delete data function as an argument, as a command to the button delete. And what does this delete data do? So we go back here. We'll take it here. So define delete data I. So this I is going to be used. So print I data, comma ID, list.remove index. So this is basically another API thing where it calls the backend to get the to do something at the back, and then we want to show again in front. It is the show list and everything. Okay, so this is the delete data with the parameter. So do you guys understand this class, the chapter that I taught so far? Because this is very tough if you don't understand it very well. You might encounter a lot of bugs, especially at this part. If you are using Tikintela, if you are using other libraries, you have to deal other bugs there. So I can't assure you whether it is easier or harder if you use another library or another language. So do you understand? YouTube, do you understand YouTube? The one who, the students who are looking at through the YouTube. It's very tough. No question? This is going still processing. Okay, Saiful. Take your time to process. If any questions you may ask me, ask away. Okay, so because this is the last class, so basically I'm open for any Q&A sessions, any Q&A. Okay, since we have pretty much, we just use a little time for just teaching, so the remaining time will be used for the Q&A only. Okay, anything you don't understand, throughout the courses, or maybe you want to ask about your own personal projects, but just please make it short. Okay, so this is basically what I have done for the GUI as a demonstration. If no, let me just demonstrate one more thing. I think I've this is nothing related, just something not so important. I think I made this one. Not this one, nothing much. Okay. So I created a simulation using GUI to, what do you call it, to simulate how does infection spreads. But I'm assuming so many things lah. Okay. So I'm not going to tell you in depth about this one, but this is just me just doing some random stuff as a practice. I think I do this before, after the class, or maybe before. I'm not sure. I did this as well in the previous semester. So in short, we have COVID, right? So what I did here is that, so let's just jump right into it. No need to see all this nonsense. So we have 222 main loops. So let's run this. So, oh my god. So we have this. This is the SIRD infection radius. Okay. So what did I do? On the left side is basically the input, where I want to tell you, I want to say, okay, the one that has been highlighted is the one that is infected. And take a look what I have done. So I can click this several times. I can toggle between on and off. So you can change the color of the button. You can also change the color of the labels, okay, when click. So what did I do? Okay, let me just do this lah. So the infection radius is basically the radius of the infection. This is the taxi cab radius. So let's say the radius is 4, infection probability is 100, recovery probability is 10, and the immunity gain is 10. Okay. So let's just say this is 0. This is 100 as well. So what happened when I run this? So when I start simulation, so this is the first iteration. So you notice that when I start the simulation, all the buttons are inactive. You can also change that as well. So let us iterate this. So this is the infection radius, right? So I iterate. So 4 of them are infected. And I iterate again. Another 4 has been infected. And again, 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 until it is full. Okay. So basically you have 12 iterations to get all of them infected. So how about this? For, let's say, I don't remember how do I do this. So let us do 50. Let us do 5 and 10 and make it 10. So let us just just a random position here. Infection radius, make it 2, make it smaller. So we begin here and we iterate. So it becomes larger and larger and larger and larger. So when we iterate this, even though the infection has been spread out, you will notice that it begins to reside because there is a probability, there is a immunity gain. And after 149 iterations, everyone is recovered, assuming that everyone is not dead lah. So this is exciting. This is just my personal project lah, just for nothing actually, nothing important to it actually. So yeah, so yeah, in this one I've used several libraries. Okay, so you can see you have the tkinter, you have the function partial, and you can also use random number generator as well. Okay, so this is where it comes in. So I think that's all. Okay, I think no and YouTube also done. So is there anything you want to ask before we end our class? So far I need to recheck. I'm sorry, but can I leave the class? I have a virtual meeting. Oh, it's okay. We basically have reached the end of the class actually. So you feedback so far I need to recheck the code since I'm very busy actually. It's okay. I'll give you guys one more week to check for task 5. Okay? After that, no more checking for any of the tasks, okay? Because I'm quite busy actually as well. So I'll just let you guys do the recheck ask me to do the rechecking for task 5 only, okay? So you may go now, Azim. Thank you very much for joining my class. Okay, Aziz, how about the Aziz? Okay, I think that's all. So let us just end the streaming on YouTube. Okay, so thank you very much, all the students that have joined the classes. Okay, so I hope you guys do very well in your project. Okay, which involves GUI as well as other data structure projects that you have to do. Okay, so I bid you guys good luck. And another thing I want to say is you will have a love-hate relationship with programming, with coding. But I beg you, please don't leave them. Don't put them aside, as they are important for the current demand as well as the future demand of our jobs right now. Okay, so just learn as much as you want. Okay, C++, Python, C#. If you are going for game development, Angular, React Native, or React if you focus on the web development or app development. What more? Maybe you want to go in depth like C. You want to go for hardware coding, right? So you 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 need to even you need to just do coding. Okay, it might not be your jam, but if you practice and you be creative and you learn how to solve the problems, because the good thing about programming is that you are given a problem, you need to think how to solve it using the tools that you have. Okay, like this one, the linked list. Initially, when I first uh, have an idea of creating this, I didn't have any reference. I just know, okay, I have the linked list, so I can just copy and paste, which is not a problem. You can just copy and paste from the Stack Overflow and everything, as long as you understand what is the code telling you to do. And then you also have the GUI. So basically, this project, this project that I used to demonstrate in front of you guys is basically an application that we have learned before, and you guys are going to do that as well. In data structure, let me just focus for data structure. In data structure, you are not going to deal with just a small data. Okay, as when you are working, when you are going to work in the future, inshallah, me as well, me included, you are going to deal with a large data, big data. Okay, so you need to find the most efficient way to handle all of them and the most efficient way to store them all. Okay, like for example, is hash table useful to store big data? If it is, how do you want to implement it? Are you going to use the quadratic scaling, linear scaling, or are you going to use the linked list scaling, or uh, maybe a hash table inside another hash table? You don't know. We don't know. Or maybe if it involves, for example, GPS. GPS usually involves graphs and trees. Okay, usually the graphs. So I'll tell you, you have learned about. I don't know about the current syllabus, but I'm pretty sure during my time I've learned about dynamic programming. Dynamic programming is basically a better and optimized version of recursion. Okay, where you are given a you create an array, you do the recursion, but if the thing already exists in the table, we can just use the data. If it still it haven't exist yet, you need to do the recursion. Sometimes in dynamic programming, you don't need the recursion. We have in dynamic programming, we have greedy algorithm. I'm not sure if heap and stack is included in the. I think it is included. I think it is included. It is one of the dynamic programming algorithms. You also haven't learned about BFS, DFS, okay? But apa? Depth first search and breadth first search. Both of them are pretty good as well in data structure, actually, in the algorithm. Okay, so I think that's all for me. Uh, Madam Rashida, do you have anything to say for the class? No? If that, I'll just end the YouTube session as well as the Gmeet here. Okay, so I think thank you very I guess this will be our last class for the semester. So I hope I bid you guys good luck, and inshallah, may we meet each other as co-workers in the future, inshallah. Okay, if not co-workers, I bid you guys a very, very good future, inshallah, that a future that bring us closer to Allah, as well as being serving for the humanity, for the greater good. Okay, so with that, we end our class with Tasbih Kafarah and Surah Al-As.
Brother,
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure. Ask away.
Um, like for the last half of the semester, I heard that we're going to not with Professor Rashida anymore. Is it
Mm-hmm.
correct?
As far
It
as
will be Madam Farah, is it?
as far as I'm aware, yes. Because
Uh,
Somebody, Zaki?
yes, Professor.
Okay, what do you say just now?
Yeah, I asked you before that the
Mm.
last half will be with Madam Farah. Is I just want clarification.
Yeah. So we have
So,
completed ours today, inshallah.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
Dr. Faraj is going to start, I'm not sure, maybe this week or next week. But ours is more into communication. So possibly maybe you just run some experiment over there. I'm not too sure. But supposedly she's going to tell you what you're supposed to do. So,
mm-mm,
but for ours, we are done. All we need, what is left is the project. So project can be, so all what you need for the project now, alhamdulillah, it's covered. So your project title, inshallah, will be out maybe this weekend. It's just about 4 weeks project. So, and that's it.
It will be like different project with Madam Farah, or is it going to be like the same?
I
Only
don't
one
think
project.
she's going to give you any project. I don't think so.
Oh, I see.
I don't think
So
so.
is it going to be Brother Ziman also with Madam Farah, or is it
no, no,
No,
no.
I don't think
anyone?
so. I don't think so. I think she's going to run the lab herself.
Mm-mm,
It's a little bit, it's totally different from here, from what we're, it's data communication. So this
Oh,
is more into programming. So I think she's
mm-mm.
going to do something or maybe networking, yeah,
Yes.
TCP, all this protocol, possibly.
Mm-mm,
I'm not too sure, but I know it's datacom. So it's nothing to do with all this our own data structure and algorithm thing.
mm-mm.
oh, I see. Okay. Thank you,
All right,
Madam.
you're
Thank you,
welcome.
Madam.
Yeah.
So I think that's all. So let me just end the stream on YouTube.
All right.
So
Thank you, Madam.
okay,
Okay, I think that's it, right, Aziman?
that's it. So let me just stop the
Okay, so
streaming
inshallah,
and the
I will
recording.
talk to you later, maybe tomorrow or next, so we can conclude
Sure.
all their tasks. I will see. So it's just going to be part of the assessment, inshallah.
Okay, no problem.